A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one and only God. Peace and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whom no other prophet will come after him. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. There is no God to worship but Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and a messenger of Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Imran 3 verse 185, every soul will taste death. After the soul is taken, if it is a pure soul and has relatives in the next world who are people of the garden, they come to meet the soul with yearning and great joy. They ask it about the condition of those who are still alive in this world. Once his records are inscribed in Ilyun, the angels are told, "Take him back to earth, because I promised them that from it I create them, into it I return them, and from it I resurrect them once again." In Surah Taha 20 verse 55, "From the earth we created you, and into it we will return you, and from it we will bring you back again." He is then returned to the earth, and his soul is returned to his body. He sees the washing of his body, its shrouding, the funeral procession, and the people around him. It says either, take me forward," or "Where are you taking me?" The people cannot hear this. When the corpse has been placed in the grave, the soul inserts itself between the body and the shroud so that the questioning can take place. Then the soul hears the receding footfall of the last of the people who followed the funeral, and the thumping of his relatives' shoes as they walk away from the grave, and the earth is leveled over him. No human being will be spared the squeeze of the grave. However, the following hadith indicates that it is not at the same degree of severity for all the people. Some of the believers are released from its grip quicker than others. At-Tabarani in Al-Kabir, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "If anyone were to escape from the squeeze of the grave, it would be Sa'ad bin Mu'ath. However, he was squeezed once and then released." The soul returns to the body after the burial, just in time for the final test. Then two very stern angels, Ya'ni, Munkar and Nakir, will enter the grave and conduct a test. They come to him and shake him. They make him sit up and ask him, "Who is your Lord?" He replies, "My Lord is Allah." Then they ask him, "What is your deen, yani religion?" He replies, "My religion is Islam." They ask him again, "Who is that man who was sent to you?" He replies, "He is Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Then they ask, "How did you come to know these things?" He replies, "I read the book of Allah, believed it, and declared it to be true." They shake him again, asking, "Who is your Lord? What is your deen? Who is your Prophet?" And this is the last fitnah, yani trial, to which a believer is subjected to. In Surah Ibrahim 14 verse 27, Allah makes the believer steadfast with a firm word of faith in this worldly life and the hereafter. In Sahih Muslim, it is narrated on the authority of Ibn Shamasa Mahri that he said, as death approached Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu, he said to his companions, "When I die, let neither female mourner nor fire accompany me. When you bury me, fill my grave well with earth. Then stand around it for a time within which a camel is slaughtered and its meat is distributed, so that I may enjoy your intimacy and in your company, ascertain what answer I can give to the messengers angels of Allah. He repeats, My Lord is Allah, my deen is Islam, and my Prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then a voice from heaven declares, My servant has spoken the truth, so provide him with furnishings from Jannah, clothe him from Jannah, and open for him a door to Jannah. Thus he receives provisions and perfume from it, and his grave is expanded from him as far as the eye can see. A man with a pleasant face, nice garments, and a good smell comes to him and says, I am to give you glad tidings that will please you, tidings of Allah's acceptance and gardens with everlasting bliss. This is the day you have been promised. He asked, Who are you? Your face is one that brings goodness. He says, I am your good deeds. By Allah, I only knew you were quick in obeying Allah and slow in disobeying Him. May Allah reward you with good. A door is then opened for him to Jannah, and another one to the fire, and he is told, This, yani the fire, would have been your dwelling had you disobeyed Allah, but Allah has substituted for you with this Jannah. When he sees what is waiting for him in Jannah of pleasures, he says, O Lord, let the last hour come soon so that I may rejoin my family and my property. He is told, Come down. Another hadith by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, When a believing person is buried, 2 black and blue angels come to him. One of them is called Munkar and the other Nakir. They ask him, What did you used to say about this man, yani Muhammad? He says, as he used to say, He is Allah's Abdul and Messenger. I testify that there is no deity worthy of being worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad is his Abdul and Messenger. They say, We expected you to say this. His grave is then expanded for him to 70 cubits by 70. It is illuminated for him, and he is told, Go to sleep. He says, Let me return to my people to inform them about my good condition. But they tell him, Sleep as does a newlywed person, who no one awakens except a member of his family who is dearest to him. He sleeps like that until Allah raises him from his resting place. In another hadith it mentioned that the believer is then left in the grave and the time passes as if it is but a nap. In another narration, after the angels, yani Munkar and Nakir, come down and question him, a door onto the fire is opened for him, and he is told, Look, this would have been your place in the fire if you had rebelled against Allah, and Allah had exchanged your place in the garden for it. Then the door is locked, and another door onto the garden is opened, and he sees his place there. This door will remain open until the day of rising. Some of the sweetness and fragrance of the garden reaches him, and his grave is made spacious. He sleeps in peace, just as if he were in one of the meadows of the garden. We have covered in the previous section that when a pious soul is in a state of bliss from the moment they die until the moment the 2 angels question them. Now we will cover how the journey will be like for the unbeliever. When death descends upon an enemy of Allah, in Surah Al-An'am 6 verse 93. If you, O Prophet, could only see the wrongdoers taste the pangs of death, and the angels stretch their hands out saying, Give up your souls. Today you will be rewarded with the torment of disgrace for telling lies about Allah and for being arrogant towards His revelation. Qurtubi stated that death is painful for the disbelievers. Although they are ordered to surrender their souls to the angels, they are unwilling. Therefore, the soul must be forced out, as it does not wish to meet its punishment. When a disbelieving or disobedient Abdul is about to depart from this world and go forward into the next world, strong, hulking angels with black faces descend to him from the heavens. They bring with them tough fabrics from the fire. They sit around him in throngs, stretching as far as the eye can see. Then Malakul Maut alayhi salam comes and sits by his head and says, "O foul and malicious soul, come out to the wrath and anger of Allah." On hearing this, the soul becomes terrified and clings to the body. But the angel of death extracts it out by force and dragged it out like a skewer pulled out of wet wool, causing the veins and nerves to burst. Then the angel of death takes hold of it. When he has grasped it, the strong, dark-faced angel do not leave it in his hand even for a twinkling of an eye. They take it and wrap it in the rough hair cloth from the fire, and from it the most repugnant stench of a decaying corpse ever existed on the surface of the earth. Every angel between the heavens and the earth, and every angel in the heavens curses him. The gates of heavens are shut. The guardians of every gate implore Allah Subhanahu that this soul does not ascend in their direction. The angels then ascend with it, and as they pass by gatherings of angels, they ask them, "Who is this foul soul?" The angels, holding it, respond, "He is so-and-so, son of so-and-so," using the worst names by which people used to call him in this world. When they reach the lowest heaven, they ask for permission to enter, but the gates are not open for him. In Surah Al-A'raf 7, verse 40, "Indeed, those who deny our verses and are arrogant towards them, the gates of heaven will not be opened for them, nor will they enter paradise until a camel passes through the eye of a needle. This is how we reward the wicked." Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, "Write his record in Sijjin, in the lowest earth, yani a place most lowest, a place of imprisonment." And the angels are told, "Take him back to earth, because I promised them that from it I create them, into it I return them, and from it I resurrect them once again." His soul is then cast down from the heavens without regard, and it falls into his body. In Surah Al-Hajj 22, verse 31, "For whoever associates others with Allah is like someone who has fallen from the sky and is either snatched away by birds or swept by the wind to a remote place." His soul is restored to his body so that he hears the thumping of his companions and families' shoes as they walk away from his grave. Two angels of severe reprimand come to him and shake him. They make him sit up and ask him, "Who is your Lord?" He replies, "Alas, alas, I do not know." They then ask him, "What is your deen, yani religion?" He replies, "Alas, alas, I do not know." They then ask him some more, "Who is that man who was sent to you?" He cannot recall his name, and the angel told him, "His name is Muhammad." He replies, "Alas, alas, I do not know. I only just heard the people say that." He is then told, "You do not know and you do not recite the Qur'an." Then a voice calls from on high, "My slave has lied, so spread out carpets from the fire for him and open a gate of the fire for him." Then a hot blast from it comes to him. His grave is made so narrow for him that his ribs are pressed together, causing his ribs to break. Then a man with a hideous face and clothing and a foul odor comes to him and says, I am to give you an evil tidings that will displease you. This day is the day that you have been promised. He responds, Evil tidings from Allah to you too. Who are you? Your face is one that brings evil. He says, I am your malicious deeds. By Allah, I only know you slow in obeying Allah and quick in disobeying Him. May Allah repay you with evil. A blind, deaf and dumb person is appointed for him. He carries in his hand a sledgehammer that if it hits a mountain, it would turn to dust. He hits him with it once and he becomes dust. Allah Subhanahu then restores him as he was, and the person hits him again. He sounds a shriek that is heard by everything except men and jinns. A door is opened for him to the fire, and he is given the furnishings from the fire. He then says, O Lord, do not let the last hour come. In another narration, as for skeptics, he will say, Oh, I don't know. I heard people saying something, so I said it. So he will then be hit with a large iron hammer, whereupon he will let out a scream, the sound of which will be heard by everything except the jinn and mankind, because if they were to hear it, they would be struck dumb. It is narrated that if all the people of a city like Mina were to gather together to carry this hammer, they would not be able to. Reflect upon what 00 means. It indicates that the slave recollects something, tries to recall it, but is unable to remember. In Sahih al-Bukhari, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, When the funeral is ready for its burial, and the people lift it on their shoulders, then if the deceased is a righteous person, he says, Take me ahead. And if he is not a righteous one, then he says, Woe to me, where are you taking me? And his voice is audible to everything except human beings, and if they heard it, they would fall down unconscious. Recorded by Al-Bazzar, verified Sahih by Al-Albani, Abu Hurairah reported that Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, When a disbeliever is made to sit in his grave, he is asked, Who is your Lord? He replies, I do not know. He is told, May you never know. A door is then opened from his grave to hell, and he is hit by a blow that can be heard by every creature except the human beings and jinns, and he is told, Go to sleep like a beaten person, and his grave is made tight on him. Abu Hurairah was asked, What is a beaten person? He replied, One who is bitten by creatures and snakes. The grave is an unknown territory. On the outside it is quiet, but the inside it contains secrets and terrors which an ordinary man cannot perceive. They can only be perceived by someone who has been given a higher degree of belief and inner sight. It is a strange fact that animals are able to hear the punishment in the grave, while human beings, as a general rule, cannot. Rasulullah ﷺ said, They are punished and the animals hear it. Thabit al-Bunani said regarding this, Once I was walking among the graves and I heard a voice behind me saying, Thabit, do not be deceived by this stillness. How many people in them are suffering? I turn around but do not see anyone. Garden is open for the unbeliever, and he is told to look at what his place would have been in the garden If he had obeyed Allah, then it is locked and another door is open and he is told to look at his place in the fire. It stays open and the blast of hot air from it continues to reach him until the day of rising. Then the earth presses in on him and he is crushed to the point that his ribs splits apart. Then various forms of punishment rain down on him according to the type of wrong actions he committed. Many statements have come down to us showing us the reality of the punishment of the grave, or what we might also call the punishment of the interspace between the two worlds. Our Prophet ﷺ said, I passed Badr and saw a man come out of the ground. Another man hit him with a stick until he vanished back into the earth. Then that happened again. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ went on to say, that was Abu Jahl ibn Hisham, who will be punished in that way until the day of rising. One of the earlier Muslims said, we passed by a certain watering place on the way to Basra. We heard the braying of a donkey and asked the people there what the braying was. They replied, it was one of the men who used to be with them, whose mother had asked him for something, and he had told her to bray like a donkey. Since his death, this braying has been heard every night from his grave. Ammar bin Dinar said, the sister of one of the men of Medina died and he buried her. When he came back from the burial, he remembered that he had left something in the grave. He asked one of his companions to help him. His companion related that they had dug up the grave and found what they were looking for. Then the men said, let us dig further and find out what has happened to my sister. He lifted up one of the stones covering the burial cavity and found the grave filled with fire. He replaced it and filled in the grave again. Then he returned to his mother and asked, what was my sister really like? She replied, why do you ask about her when she is dead? He said, tell me. She said, she used to delay the prayer, and she also used to go to our neighbors' doors, put her ear to them, and then tell other people what they said. Abdullah al-Sin'ani said, I saw Yazid ibn Harun in a dream 4 nights after he died. I said to him, what did Allah do with you? He replied, he accepted my good actions and overlooked me for my bad actions. I said, what happened after that? He replied, is there anything but kindness from He who is the most kind? He forgave my sins and granted me entry into paradise. I said, what did you do in order to achieve that? He replied, by attending the gatherings of remembrance, by speaking the truth, my truthfulness in speech, my long standing in prayer, and my patience with poverty. I said, Munkar, Nakir, are they true? He replied, by Allah, there is no God except He. They sat me up and asked me, who is your Lord? What is your deen? Who is your Prophet? I removed some dust from my grey beard and I said, are the likes of me to be asked? I am Yazid ibn Harun al-Wasiti. I lived in the world for 60 years as the most knowledgeable of people. Then one of the angels said, he has spoken the truth. He is indeed Yazid ibn Harun. Sleep as a bride would, for there will be no terror for you after today. Al-Marwazi said, I saw Ahmad ibn Hanbal in a dream. He was in a garden wearing 2 green robes and a crown made from gold. He was walking in a way which I never knew him to walk. I said, O Ahmad, what's all this? You are walking in a way which I know is not your habit of walking. He replied, This is the walk of the servants of the abode of peace, Dar es Salaam. I said, what is the crown on your head? He said, my Lord, mighty and majestic, stopped me and took me to account easily. He clothed me, gifted me, brought me near, and I looked at him. He gave me this crown, saying, O Ahmad, this is a crown of respect given to you as you said that my words are uncreated. Wallahu alam bisawab. Ya Allah, please teach us knowledge that is beneficial to us. Let us take advantage of the knowledge that you pour onto us. Please give us knowledge, good deeds, and sincerity in our lives. May we receive mercy and guidance from you, Ya Allah. Please increase our iman and ilmu so that we can pass them down to our children, family, friends, and all our loved ones. Until my next video, inshallah, please take care and be kind to one another. Jazakumullahu khairan and shukran.